Hi everyone and welcome to the program. Well, this week we're heading down to the Sunshine State and more specifically to Fort Myers as we pay a visit to a club that is home to a very fun and challenging layout. It is also home to three legends of the game of golf, and between two of them, they have won nearly 100 times on tour.
It's also home to some of the finest golf courses you'll find anywhere. And one of the area's first private country clubs remains one of the area's finest today. Welcome to the Cypress Lake Country Club. Cypress Lake opened for play back in 1961, and over the years it has garnered a reputation for offering an exceptional layout that is both fun and very challenging to play. And unlike many of today's modern designs, there are no trick holes on this layout. What you see is what you get. Generous landing areas off the tees, and green complexes that will challenge each and every golfer, regardless of their handicap.
I think that's why all the good players and the golf professionals love to come and play here. It is generous off the tee. There's always one side you can favor. The greens are smallish, and you need to position yourself generally below the hole, or you're going to have problems.
Originally designed by noted golf course architect Dick Wilson back in 1959 and redesigned by Ron Garl in 2001, Cypress Lake offers 5 different sets of tees. Playing it from the number 1 tees, this layout will challenge even the better tour players, as the course stretches out to 7,033 yards and features a course rating of 74.5 and a slope of 134. Moving up to the number 2 tees, Cypress Lake plays to just over 6,500 yards and offers a course rating of 71.5 and a slope of 130.
It's a very conservative golf course rating and slope. If anything, probably plays harder than what it's rated, not easier.
Off the course, the facility offers a full range, chipping and putting areas, 6 lighted tennis courts. Inside the clubhouse, you'll find a well-appointed golf shop. The clubhouse also provides a warm environment for both casual and fine dining, as well as other activities. You'll also find an area dedicated to its most famous member, Patty Berg. Inside these cases are trophies, medals, and portraits from her brilliant career on the LPGA. The Cypress Lake Country Club in Fort Myers, a club rich in history and valued traditions. It is a place where legends of this great game have called home, and where excellence and a commitment to golf lives within each of its members, past, present,
for golfusa.com.
As you walk through the lobby at Cypress Lake Country Club in Fort Myers, it's hard not to notice golfing history. Cases upon cases pay tribute to its most famous member. In fact, the club can boast 3 members who have been elected to the World Golf Hall of Fame. Past and present members can count tour victories by the dozens.
Nestled along the banks of the Caloosahatchee River in southwest Florida is Fort Myers. Founded in 1850 and named after Colonel Abraham Myers, it was a military outpost during the Seminole Wars. Now, during the war between the states, the fort was placed into service as a Union outpost and then was officially retired in 1865. Almost immediately, the abandoned Fort Myers became home to settler families, land speculators, and, believe it or not, cowboys. And by 1885, the town of Fort Myers was established. Not long after that, the inventor Thomas Edison called Fort Myers his winter home. Now, during this period, Fort Myers became the county seat of the newly formed Lee County, and tourism boomed as offshore tarpon fishing enticed sport fishermen and adventurers from around the world. By the late 1950s, the game of golf grew in popularity in this part of the state, and the only course in the area was owned and operated by Fort Myers. But things were about to change. In 1959, a group of businessmen led by Harry Popham felt it was time for the area to have its own private golf club. So a series of meetings were held, and several farmers who also happened to play golf donated the initial land to build a golf course. And it couldn't have come at a more opportune time.
We were known at that time as the gladiolus capital of the world, and more glads were grown within 5 miles of where we sit now than anywhere else in the world. And this was attracting people, and the city, the county were starting to grow.
The group hired golf course designer Dick Wilson, and over the course of the next year and a half, work began on what was to be Cypress Lake Country Club. By 1961, the first 9 of 18 holes opened for play. Among its earliest members were 3 great heroes of American golf: Patty Berg, Gene Sarazen, and sports writer Herb Graffis. Now, Graffis, who was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame in '77, wrote for the Chicago Sun-Times. He also published several golf-related magazines and collaborated with Tommy Armour on 3 golf instructional books. Graffis called Cypress Lake his home course up until his death in 1989. Another of its famous members was Gene Sarazen. Now, Sarazen, who won 39 times on tour, was also the first golfer to win the career Grand Slam and was among the first class of inductees into the World Golf Hall of Fame in 1974. But it was a redhead, freckle-faced Midwesterner by the name of Patty Berg who was probably the most famous member of the club. As a professional golfer, Patty Berg won 60 times on tour. And it was in Fort Myers where Patty Berg honed her skills, becoming one of the greatest shot makers the game has ever known.
Her father was Herman Berg, who had a seat on the Chicago Board of Trade. Herman would stand out in front of Patty about maybe 20 yards, 25 yards, and make her hit balls over his head.
As an ambassador to the game, Hall of Famer Patty Berg was an active member at Cypress Lake up until her death in 2006. The largest single exhibit of Patty's trophies and memorabilia are on display in the clubhouse lobby. In 2001, golf course architect Ron Garld was brought in to completely renovate the layout. For founding member Jim Franklin, Cypress Lake to this day, in his opinion, remains one of the finest private golf clubs not only in southwestern Florida, but the entire state.
I still think it is the premier course and will be here a long time after I'm gone.
Another member of the Cypress Lake Country Club is 3-time PGA Tour winner Nolan Hankey. Of the 4 par 5s at Cypress Lake, number 2 by far is the shortest. Yet, the way golf course architect Dick Wilson crafted out this golf hole, it poses the greatest challenge to the average player of any of the par 5s on the layout.
As par 5s go for a good player, when they leave that hole, they're looking for a 4.
Of the 4 par 5s on this par 72 layout here at Cypress Lake Country Club, hole number 2 by far is the shortest on the course. Yet it poses probably the hardest challenge of the 4 par 5s on the layout. From the tee, you're looking to hit your tee shot somewhere in the center of the fairway, thus taking the trees here on the left-hand side out of play. And depending on your length off the tee, your second shot, you'll want to reach a yardage that will allow you to swing your most accurate short yardage club. That's because your third shot will be into a well-protected green complex. For the longer hitters, reaching the green in 2 is possible, yet it will require a player to work the ball from left to right as they attempt to get aboard the putting surface.
Most good players hit a right to left shot, so it almost forces you to carve a shot maybe a little bit against what you normally do.
And again, this is a green that is not very big and has an ample amount of protection on both sides.
If you miss right in the bunker, you're okay, but if you don't hit the bunker, then you're wet. You miss left in the bunker, and it's a very difficult up and down coming out of the bunker with the green going away from you. So that's the challenging part there, is the green.
Hole number 2 here at Cypress Lake Country Club in Fort Myers. A par 5 that is not considered long by today's standards, yet it is a golf hole that requires good shot-making skills in order to post a good score.
An opportunity for a good player to pick up a shot, but a very difficult hole.
That in order to post a low score there, you need to take advantage of the shorter par 4s. Number 11 and 17 come to mind, so too does number 7. Yet, unlike 11 and 17 that play straight away, 7 dog legs from left to right. Thus, you'll need to place your tee shot on the correct side of the fairway, allowing you a more aggressive approach into the green there at number 7.
For a right-handed golfer who can hit a fade off the tee, hole number 7 here at Cypress Lake Country Club sets up perfectly. Taking aim for the bunkers straight away and then fading the ball will leave those golfers with a great angle at which you can go at the pin. Don't pull off the fade and hit it straight, well, you could be scrambling from one of these fairway bunkers. Get a little bit too aggressive with your tee shot and playing it down the right-hand side, well, you could find yourself being forced to hit a punch shot out from behind the trees. So the key to playing number 7 is to find that short grass off the tee, and more often than not, you'll probably have the green light to take it right at the flag. The green itself is protected by bunkering on all sides, yet the sheer size of 7's green, one of the deepest on the entire layout at 33 paces, does allow for the better short game players to take dead aim at the flag. Though not very drastic, the green does feature a slight ridge running through the center. So depending on where the pin is cut that day will determine where you need to land your approach shot. We'll take one final look at our course of the week, the Cypress Lake Country Club in Fort Myers, when we come back.
Of the 4 par 5s at Cypress Lake, both number 12 and number 14 play to the same distance, 540 yards from the back tees. Although 12 is reachable for the very long hitters in 2, I don't think the same could be said for number 14. It's not totally impossible, although 14 does feature a left to right dog leg and a green complex that is tight and well protected. Thus, if you're going for the green in 2 on number 14, you'll need to work a left to right shot, and chances are you'll bring a strand of trees on the right-hand side into play.
Both par 5s on the back 9 at Cypress Lake Country Club measure the same distance, 540 from the back number 1 tees. Yet 14 is without a doubt the more difficult of the 2 to play. Now, for all intents and purposes, 14 is a legitimate 3-shot par 5. That's because of this creek that meanders through the fairway about 280 yards off the tee. It forces most players to come up short, taking the hazard out of play.
99% of people cannot reach a green from that point. You're at about 260 out. Yeah, some of your very good players can, but for the most part, you're not going to get home in 2, no.
For those daring enough to try to go for the green in 2, you'll need to play your second shot over or around this strand of trees on the right-hand side to have any opportunity to reach the green.
Either that or it forces you again to curve the ball from left to right, which is many times against some of how the better players hit the ball, which is right to left.
The green complex here at hole number 14 is elevated and protected by 3 bunkers to the right-hand side and another bunker front left. The putting surface is not very big, yet it does slope from back to front and is very receptive to approach shots. Yet the key to avoiding any 3 putts here at 14 is keeping the ball below the pin.
The history, the charm, and just a wonderful layout is what one enjoys as a member at Cypress Lake. Well, special thanks to John Naylor, Ron Leatherwood, Jim Franklin, and the entire staff at Cypress Lake Country Club in Fort Myers, Florida. I'm Alan Hunter. For all of us here at Golf America, hit 'em long and straight, and we'll see you next time.